Welcome to Unlocked. It is the world's #1 Xbox show. Sorry, Major Nelson. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joined by Destin Legary,
Hey,
Marty
everybody.
Sleva, and this fine gentleman who's been so kind to take some time out of his day, Phil Spencer, in town.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Coming up on this week's show, obviously, we're going to ask Phil Spencer a bunch of questions. Just check in with. We haven't gotten to talk to him in a while, so we'll check in on Game Pass, the move of the E3 press conference. Of course, we'll try to get some Scorpio juice out of him, and we'll see.
Scorpio
We'll
juice?
see what else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought no venom.
That's
no
how it's going to
venom
go.
with me.
Plus, Peter Moore is leaving EA, and it's great to have you here to comment on that because that's a fascinating story. Bonnie
I got him
Ross
the job, actually.
talking about story stuff in Halo. Which is worth a discussion. We'll see how much. Hopefully, we have time to get Phil involved in the Xbox trivia as well. So, all of that coming up right now. Phil, thanks for coming over. This is great.
It's good. I mean, it's GDC week. It's an exciting week. All the developers here in the Bay Area, San Francisco. I love coming by. And congrats on the new desk.
Yeah, this
I
is.
love it.
We feel like real
If you're listening to
broadcasters
this,
now.
you're missing out on 99% of the joy of the show.
Yes.
Well, and the three of you are very well dressed today.
It is the best dressed episode in history.
I feel totally underdressed in this.
You didn't get the memo?
esteemed-
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
The
So
blazer.
you're
memo.
layered. It's fine. You got your Metallica Halo Wars 2 shirt.
My Atrioc
It looks
shirt.
good.
Thanks.
I like that. So I want to start, actually, Phil. Game Pass was announced yesterday. Usually cool things get announced right after we record. We lucked out. It got announced beforehand. This is effectively Netflix for Xbox games. You're going to get unlimited access to over 100 Xbox One and backwards compatible 360 games on your Xbox One for $10 a month. Some games are going to cycle in and out each month, and if you want to buy them, hold on to a game you like permanently, you get a 20% discount. How long has this been in the works?
This one we've been on for quite a while. I'd say probably between 2 and 3 years to
Wow.
really work through a couple things. You got to get the technical infrastructure in place to be able to distribute all the games, make sure the store entitlements work, things that people won't care about, that you can de-entitle games if people stop subscribing. And then you got to go do the third-party deals because obviously we got a lot of third-party content in there. We felt good about our first-party content, but it was nice. And we're going to use the preview community to help test this, which is why we did the announce because the preview community has been great. And it's really nice to have the feature come to market. I think it'll be, hopefully it's a good value for people.
And that's actually, I was curious, how do you get third parties involved in because I'm sure they want money for their games. What? You gotta. do you,
I didn't think of that one.
Do you have to? Because I know you've told me with backwards compatibility, you got to get kind of their sign off on.
That's
hey,
right.
Are you willing to allow your game to be compatible? So do you have to make a bunch of business deals with this, or is it just kind of a relationship play?
No, it's a business deal. Different than backward compatibility. Just for quickly on the backward compatibility thing, what happens with the backward compatible game is we have a publisher agreement with a third-party publisher to publish on the 360.
Yeah.
So we do not, as a platform, have the right to publish their 360 game on the Xbox One, which is why we have to have the conversation.
Makes
Most
sense.
publishers have been great in supporting it. Game Pass is a little different because obviously there's money being made in Game Pass. So we have a way to share in the upside that happens as Game Pass subscribers come on board with the third parties. So if the program is successful, third parties will be successful with it as well. And they're helping us kickstart this thing, which is fantastic. The thing that's really interesting for me is this window that gets created. A game comes out at $60 and people go buy it and then it'll go on sale. And if you just think about windows and other form of content, TV, movies, where they kind of go through these different places where the owner and the creator of the content can go and actually make some money off of it, we thought there was an opportunity with a subscription. Clearly, we've seen it in like Netflix and other areas where you can go off and do this. And I'm really hoping this creates a window for content that maybe has fallen off of the monetization radar for the third-party publishers.
So go ahead, Marty.
You mentioned that you mentioned Netflix, and like Netflix, games are going to leave and enter this on a monthly basis. Is that right?
Yeah, the reason when I wrote the blog, I wanted to make sure I said that. I don't expect it's a large number of games will move in and out every month, but they are third-party games. I don't own the rights to those games. Certain publishers will make decisions about things that they want to move in and out. I want to make sure we're able to bring new games to the program often, so that people in their subscription, it feels fresh to them. But I don't know this, but I would expect that you'd see a handful of games churn in and out every month. It's not something where you're getting like a complete refresh.
Yeah,
no, because I know people when they start a game, if it's going to take them longer than a month, they don't want to like. Then it's some kind of glorified trial or something, and that's not what this was about.
Cool.
I just wanted to be transparent with people that they knew certain games might leave.
So right about now, or is it this month? Is it your 3rd anniversary as head of Xbox? Is that, I believe it's about that time?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You mentioned this has been in the works for 2 or 3 years. Is this something that was this one of your sort of initiatives when you took over the role?
Yeah, there's actually 2 things that happened today that, yesterday with Game Pass, and then something we announced at GDC today about open development platform on Xbox console. So literally anybody can build a game and put it on an Xbox. We'll go back to Game Pass. But there were a few things when I started in the role that I kind of wrote down for myself that I wanted to accomplish. One of them we've talked about before was backwards compatibility. I wanted to get a new piece of hardware out, and the S came out. And then not too long after that, we greenlit Scorpio. And Game Pass and the ability. One of the things I love about what Netflix has been able to do, and I shouldn't just pick Netflix. Obviously, Amazon's done a good job with video. There's HBO's done a great job with video. I also think that business model has allowed for some pretty creative television content that's actually targeting that audience of subscription TV viewers. My hope is that we see the same with Game Pass, that you actually over time you start to see developers look at the model there. Maybe it's episodic story-driven games or something where you actually potentially could see games launch into Game Pass. And that's actually the business model for distributing that content.
Well, I thought of when I saw Halo 5 with that. I know that's a title that's been out for a year plus now, but I thought, well, boy, that's going to do great things for Halo 5's player base, which I know isn't suffering at all. But is that the kind of example where it's like if you're a developer, you might think, oh, that's going to kind of almost assure me of a nice player base.
Yeah, there's that. Also, I mean, one of the games I love that's come out in the last year or so is the King's Quest series from the Odd Gentleman. I have a great time playing that series. And I look at games like that, and they're doing fine. So it's not like we have to come in and build a model to save those kind of smaller story-driven games. But I could see a world where something like Game Pass is actually a big enough business that a developer might say, hey, this is an area where I'm going to drop 1 episode a month and people will get to play. There's no plan behind that other than just my stupid thinking on, hey, what is another way that people could bring great games? I think ID at Xbox and other indie programs on other platforms have lowered the price barrier for games, so every game doesn't feel like it has to be a $60 game. I think that's been healthy for the game development process and just the creativity that we see, and I hope Game Pass can do the same.
It's also cool that when something is added to this, it might just reignite a conversation online about the game. Or sort of like a book club mentality where a new game gets added that a bunch of people are like, oh man, I totally forgot how much I love this 360 game. And so all of a sudden a bunch of people are playing it and talking about it, which seems really cool.
It's funny when we put games into Games with Gold, right? So you get the free game. You almost always see, like the month after that, the game does a lot better in terms of sales and DLC sales, obviously because people playing. But if you actually kind of looked at the run rate of how the game was selling, and then you took like the 3-month block and said, well, was Game with Gold a good thing or a bad thing for the game? It's usually a good thing, even though you gave the game away for a while. It's the same reason, right? It just reinvigorates the player base. I see what Ryan's playing, and I say, okay, I forgot about that game, and I'll go back and play.
So if I'm an EA Access, if I'm an EA Access subscriber, and I see Xbox Game Pass, I go, should I, you probably are going to tell me go talk to EA, but are EA games ever going to be a part of this? Or do you think they're going to stick to their own thing?
Obviously, in the announce, EA is not part of it. We have a great partnership with EA and have had that for years. I don't think we want to turn game purchasing into, okay, I've got 15 subscriptions to make sure I got
like
I have
Hulu and Netflix.
That's right. The conversations, both of us are early. EA Access has been out a couple years. It's great to have it on Xbox and seeing the success that they're having. So I think we'll just kind of play it out and see where things go. But as a platform holder, I definitely would love to build tiers of people to say, okay, these are the publishers that I want to be able to participate with in terms of the games I want to play. And then the publishers can make decisions.
So the door is open if EA wants to get involved with Game Pass.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And ID games. I think we're going to see some really good ID games come into Game Pass as well. And my goal over the long term would be that Game Pass would also end up on other platforms as well. So like you could see a Windows version of it. Nice. I know we said a little bit of that in the kind of Q&A stuff we sent out on it. Not a lot of Windows content in it today, but just when I think about that idea, of the games I want to play on any device I want to go play them on, it makes sense to me that this is a construct that could live.
Did you guys take a look at either successes or failures, or what works well or doesn't work well with PlayStation Now in terms of offering a streaming service?
Yeah, I've used PlayStation Now. I've used a lot of the streaming services out there. I mean, one of the things for us is the box that the person would be streaming to, in our case of an Xbox, is capable of running the game. So if a majority of your users are actually using a box that's capable of playing the game, it's actually in the long run cheaper and more performant to just download the product or the game right to the hard drive and let the person play it. For me, streaming, and I like streaming technology, I think streaming will really make sense when people are playing on non-performant devices. So if I have a smart TV that I want to go play on, if I want to play on a phone. But if I'm on a high-end PC or even a medium PC, or if I'm on a console, to me it just makes sense that I would download the game and play it. Like that, it seems like the more natural experience to me.
So I want to ask you about moving the E3 press briefing to Sunday.
Yeah.
Why? Just that, I mean, you didn't really detail.
I didn't like getting up early in the morning.
Same.
No, I mean, we talked about it.
We
We talked about it here last week, but I would love to ask you directly. I've got the opportunity. Yeah, you've been at the Monday morning slot which used to be the kickoff.
Yeah.
Before E3 started encroaching further and further up in June. But yeah, what's the reasoning behind the move here?
I think there are multiple things that go into it. One, and you know this because you guys have to run the gauntlet. Our briefing happens, and then I think usually Ubisoft is right after us, and then when EA was in their normal slot, and then Sony. So there was kind of this just cascade of briefings that the press is having to run to get everything done. And if we ever went a little longer, if we wanted news to actually land and not end up in the middle of everybody else's news, we said, okay, well, what can we do? And going a little bit earlier, going on Sunday, I think will allow us to tell our story, and it will kind of sit there a little more, as opposed to everybody else just kind of instantly following up on with their own briefings and doing a good job with what they do. So I think there's that. Being later in the day, I do think helps. Doesn't help Europe. Europe, it will be a little bit later, which is an issue, but not too late for people. There was that, and to be honest with you, and the PR people won't love it that I go down this path. I liked opening E3, and I felt when we weren't opening E3, so there was somebody would go before us and open E3, and then I'm just in the middle. The other platform holders were right behind us, and I felt like, okay, well, if we're not getting the benefit of opening E3. We're not closing, so it unshackled us to kind of try to go do something else. So we're going to try it. We'll learn.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll give us feedback.
Do you see any limitations with going first? Like you don't have you don't get to like react to all the news. You
clearly. Yeah. I mean, going first has some advantages if people, and I don't know that this happens, but if people wanted to counter things that we said on our stage, clearly there's not like a rebuttal process where we come in afterwards or something. So there is positive and negative to going first. There are definitely people on the team that swear we should never go first. Somebody's got to go first. I liked coming out and welcoming people to E3. To me, I've tried to share this. Like I think I'm part of the game industry first. That's what I care about. And I loved opening E3, not personally, but as a platform, and be able to kind of celebrate everything that's great about E3 for the week, not just for us. And we lost a little of that as things started going earlier before us.
So speaking of E3, all Xbox fans are curious. I know I doubt you're going to drop any news bombs right here, but I will go ahead and ask.
Here we go.
Do you have any intention to do a Scorpio event prior to E3, or do you think the plan will be to save everything for that Sunday afternoon, and that'll be where everybody needs to tune in?
The plan's not completely set, just to be honest with you. I think doing everything at E3 would be difficult.
Okay.
But we'll talk more about it as we kind of land on exactly what we're going to go do. I like our E3 show being about games. Clearly, we're going to talk about Scorpio at E3, but I also don't want to take up a majority of the time doing all things about hardware. So there's a balance there. I want it on stage. It's a great opportunity for us. So you'll hear more from us on this topic. Nothing great to share with you, but other than I know people want to know more specifically about what we're doing with the hardware, and I'd love to find an opportunity to do that.
So how is the machine coming along? How many? I'm kind of curious. How many revisions because you tweeted recently that like, oh, you were sitting down playing some stuff and the box was looking cool. How many revisions does the box go through?
As few as possible would be our goal, and we're ahead of schedule right now. I think I've shared that publicly. If I haven't, I guess I just did. We got our SoC back in October. System on chip. Sorry, we got the SoC back in October. We ported the Xbox One platform over in November. Started giving some of our first-party teams kind of alpha hardware, which frankly looks like an erector set when you look at it. I mean, it's wires sticking out everywhere, just to start bringing engines over and see stuff running. Then I got to sit down and play some of those games. Actually, in the industrial design, I was going to say ID, the ID that looked pretty final. That's why I said I thought it looked great, because I think I said it looked good, and somebody. But I think it looked nice. It looked the way I wanted it to look. There were a couple things I wanted to fix on it, but it's really great to see the momentum we have. First with our internal teams that are always kind of the people that get into the dirt quicker and start doing things. And I was in Japan last week. I've been talking to a lot of third parties. There's just a lot of anticipation to get their hands on dev kits.
Is it fair to say that it's probably a little bigger than the S, smaller than the Xbox One, whereas because there's more going on with it?
I can't wait to show people what it looks like.
There's rumors that it looks like an actual scorpion. Can you comment on that? And by rumors, I mean I've said that on the show.
With the juice.
With the juice.
Yes, that's right.
No, I think the team that designed S was, I've said this before, was the same team that designed what I call Durango, or the first one that shipped. Because certain people, when they looked at the design difference, they assumed that it was a different team, and it wasn't. Right? It was just a team that had enough time to actually make the decisions and drive towards something in S that I'm very, very proud of. So I think when people see what Scorpio looks like, they'll see another. My view, a great piece of work from a great team.
Is it a family resemblance to the S?
I think it's important. We've talked about it as part of the family. We've talked about games working back and forth. I don't want it to look like something that's completely different, though I want people who buy something that's a more premium piece of hardware to know that they bought something that is different.
But this is something that was a little, I feel, kind of unclear at E3 when you first talked last year.
I'm good at unclear. I'm really good at that.
But the benefits... Will there be tangible benefits for if it's hooked up to a 1080p TV as opposed to a 4K TV?
Yeah, the reason maybe I was unclear on that answer, the box is more powerful than the S, and it's more powerful than the Durango, and it's more powerful in ways that are not as simple as like a 6, which is kind of the thing that we went out and said 6 teraflops.
Yeah.
When you look at the memory bandwidth, when you look at the amount of RAM, when you look at other things, as we're doing more work. And I've said this before, you're really finding the balance in the system is the thing that's allowing developers to get more out of the hardware. How they choose to use the extra capability in the platform, I fundamentally believe the right thing to do is to leave that up to the developer and let the developer do what they think is best. I was reading some of this stuff. I actually haven't done it yet, but I was reading some of the stuff about what Horizon had done on the Pro versus the PS4. I think that looked like, I haven't experienced it yet, but the Guerrilla team had done a smart job in kind of thinking about, well, what does it mean if I'm here? What does it mean if I'm there? And I think other developers will look at that. Luckily, a lot of our teams have been building PC games for a while, and I think if you look what Rod and the team did for Gears 4 on PC, there was a lot of configurability. I don't want to turn console configurability into PC configurability. I think it's different, but I expect that you will see teams take advantage of the hardware in ways that show up on 1080p TVs. Absolutely.
Have you taken steps to make it easier for developers to use?
Yeah, I mean we call it debt. When we shipped Xbox One, the code debt that we had sacrificed a lot of our dev platform in order to launch the thing on the date when we did launch it. And the way to get games onto Xbox One, and I knew this because I was running first party at the time, was really challenging. We're going to have, I think that the developer story was actually the #1 focus for us here, to make sure the capability, the tools, we're going to talk about this more, it won't be too much longer. That was our #1 focus. We know if it's easier for people to develop, great things happen. We didn't have that in Durango, and teams pushed their way through it through sheer force of will. I don't want to make it that hard. And I'm very proud of the platform work.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier this week too with Shadow of War. I think that was the first.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that later.
Yeah.
But it's I think the first officially confirmed, like it's hey, this is coming to Project Scorpio.
Yeah, and I know some people kind of got confused by the way we said it. Like, is there a separate version for Scorpio? And that's not what we meant. And like, the game will take advantage of Scorpio.
Right.
But there is an Xbox One version of the game that obviously runs on One, it runs on S, and it runs on Scorpio, and they're taking advantage of Scorpio.
Yeah, you buy one, and it's
that's right.
Play anywhere.
That's
play
right.
Anywhere title,
that's right.
So.
You know, that team, Monolith, is right up the street from us. I've known that team from back when Jason and Samantha ran it. They did No One Lives Forever. And, you know, it's I mean, it's a great team, and it's so nice. We'd been traveling up the 405. We can go up and see and looking at the builds and talking to them for a while. I think Warner's done a great job as a publisher this generation, so the opportunity to have them on our platform is fantastic. How
important is VR to Scorpio? It was just touched on in that intro video with Todd Howard on there.
Yeah.
What is its importance to Scorpio as an extension of the Xbox platform?
You know, honestly, I still see VR as an area for innovation and growth. And I will say it again, I think Windows is the right place for that to happen. You know, we even had some announcements today about developers being able to get an HMD from us here very soon and plug it into any
head-mounted device.
Head-mounted display. Sorry, I'm an acronym heavy today. I apologize. Because I just see the work that goes on the Windows platform, and I think it's the right place for the early incubation. We're still kind of figuring out what the canvas is for VR development. What are the nouns and verbs that work? We know this in 2D. We know how it works with a controller. VR, and it's not a slam at any one of the individual platforms. It's just a new creative process. So I think it will be important to what we're doing on Xbox and Scorpio. But right now, I'm still, how can I get hundreds of millions of VR sockets out there for developers to develop against, and I see the easiest way to do that is to focus on Windows.
So it sounds like you're saying it is a thing that you're leaving the door open to with Scorpio, but you want to let the market.
No, I'll be stronger than that. I think VR on Scorpio is important. It's really more about when, not if.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as I watch, I said before, I was over in Japan last week. I thought the Resident Evil team did some really nice work in the VR space. But you know, even sitting and talking to them about it, they're still learning as well. Like we're all learning, and I think the iterative and open way that people can develop on Windows just makes it. Before you bring something to console, I think it's important that it's had its time to kind of find where its creative energy comes from.
I mean, you mentioned nouns and verbs. Like, it needs that Mario 64 moment where it's like, oh, okay, going forward, this is the grammar that 3D games are going to use.
You're exactly right. I mean, you know, when we do platformers, we go through things like jump distance and all these things that, you know, most people just play games that, hey, this is fun, and that's right. VR, we don't know those things yet. I mean, I had a great conversation in our Today talk where we talked about mixed reality and the head-mounted display that we're coming out with from a developer that just shipped a kind of Pilot Wings type game on Oculus.
Ultra Wings?
Yeah. And
Chris Stockman.
Yeah, he was right in front of me. We had a long conversation, and he was talking about the techniques they had used for people who got a little uneasy when they were playing, and that's the kind of iteration that we need to see happen. He was talking to me like, well, what does it mean if we come over and try to do something with you guys on Windows 10, and how can he learn there? And I think that's why GDC happens, because this is a place where game developers come and share their learnings. And I think VR is incredibly, incredibly exciting. I love the mixed reality space where you can blend the real world and the virtual world together. And I definitely think it'll be an important thing for Scorpio.
Is HoloLens part of the Xbox roadmap, or is that still sort of on the
R&D side?
The enterprise, so sort of and the non-gaming side. Let me phrase it that way.
I mean, you know, HoloLens is $3,000, right? I don't know that that it's for everyone right now. I will say, from a technology standpoint, when I think about our mixed reality focus, from our lowest priced VR head-mounted display through HoloLens, I think about it as a family of devices. That's how I talk to the team. If I develop something that works as a VR experience on our lower end HMDs. I want that to work on HoloLens. If there's something in the middle that's more of a mixed reality device that feels more like a VR device, I want that to work on HoloLens. I want HoloLens to be what I call our North Star of technology, so people see, okay, because I think we all believe that in order for this space to work, we have to be untethered. Right, the fact that I've got cables hanging off.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I haven't bought one yet. It's annoying.
Well, and I'm not saying people shouldn't buy them because they're tethered. I just, like, if you play it out and you say, okay, 10 years from now, are we all going to be walking around our house with cables hanging off the back of it? Probably not, right? So I like HoloLens and the work that we've done there as a proof point of it's not perfect in any way, but okay, here's what untethered, here's what inside-out tracking looks like. Here's what mixed reality looks like. And let's make sure the learning, the API set, the development canvas that people have to work on is consistent from that device all the way through the kind of most affordable.
That's just
device.
technology as a whole. 10 years from now, you're going to look back on the initial wave of VR headsets and be like, oh God, we had this on our head.
That's
same
right.
way, like if you
It'll
look
be
at
like the
an
iPhone
original
one.
Yeah,
totally.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Speaking of being untethered, the Switch is right around the corner.
Yeah.
There's some design docs about Sony making some sort of portable device. Is that a market you've recently considered entering into?
Well, first, our relationship with Nintendo's great. They were nice enough. I came over and got to play a little early, which was nice. It was fun. I think they've done some really innovative work on Switch, and I love the hardware design. I got to play a few of the games, and I just think anytime Nintendo brings a new product to the gaming market, it's good for all of us. I got this question the other day. Somebody asked me why we had never done something that's mobile, and I said we just kind of looked at phones as kind of dominating that market. I'm always watching to see what happens. We get a ton of people now that actually log into Xbox Live on iOS and Android devices, playing the different games that use it there, and just checking in with their friends. I don't know that we would do a kind of a bespoke mobile device yet, but I'm going to watch. Absolutely, I'm going to watch and learn. People want to play their games wherever they are.
I can't confirm the X-Boy?
Not X-Boy. No, I can't.
Darn it. Last Scorpio thing, and then I'll move on. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about price. Now, obviously, you're not going to drop a price right now, but
here we go.
You could, yeah,
feel free to.
But you're either setting us all up. You're either just trying to manage expectations by continually
I
referring
think there's
to
a lot more thought behind what I say. I wish I was that clever.
He said it was early in the morning. This is why we're doing it on Sunday afternoon.
That's right. So either you're just trying to manage everyone's expectations by using the term premium console, or you're setting us all up for a under promise and over deliver situation. But I'll phrase the question this way.
Okay.
Do you think you can get away with being more expensive than your competition?
I get a sense in the way you ask that question that you have an opinion on the answer.
I've said it out. You listen to this show. You know what my opinion on this is. I'm trying to phrase it politically and politely and
what you're trying
respectfully.
to say is that over $400. I think that's what you're trying to
Marty,
say.
don't influence his answer. Just let him talk.
Now, the reason I say premium console for Scorpio is that, and people that watch IGN podcast, these are people that are close to the core. They know what Scorpio is. They know what a teraflop is. They know that Switch is shipping. Like, they're close, and it's a great community. It's not everybody. Everybody out there, a majority of the people, when they go into the store, I need to buy a gift. My kid, I want to get a game console, whatever it is. Let me sort by price and figure out which one I want to get. Oh, this one plays FIFA, and I've heard Rocket League's good. Okay, that's the one I'm going to go buy. And that's most people. It's not nothing to do with importance. So when I say premium console, what I mean is majority of the consoles we're going to sell are going to be S's.
Yeah.
So if you're because it's the lower priced console, and for most normal people out there, they sort by price and they find the thing that's most affordable, that does the thing that they want it to go do. And I'm very proud of the work that we did with this. I think it's
wonderful. It's what the original Xbox One should have been, and no offense.
Thanks, but
Wow, the backhanded compliment.
Well, it's got an internal power supply, and it's nice and quiet and small.
So the reason I say premium,
shut up, Marty,
for Scorpio is because Scorpio's for a customer who knows what Scorpio is.
Yeah,
it's for the core gaming customer. They know what a teraflop is. They know what the difference between 1080p and 4K is. They know what HDR is, and for that that's not a majority of the gaming market, right? And it's if a console is going to sell 100 million units, like the number of people that actually know any of those numbers or what that is a vast minority. So I call it a premium console because I want people to be clear. The customer we're building that for is the premium gaming customer, the person who buys the majority of the games, the person that's playing and playing most games, spending the most hours, spending the most dollars, and it's like our elite controller, right? I call that a premium controller. I'm not trying to scare anybody on the price. We're going to come out at a price that we think is fair for the product that we built, and the customers will tell us, as they always do. But I call it premium because I don't want people to get confused that somehow Scorpio is the thing that's going to take over the Xbox line. The majority of the consoles we're going to sell are the S, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. Fair enough. So before, I know we're starting to run out of time, but the internet would have my head if I didn't ask you about the first party situation these days.
Yeah.
So, yes, the internet's prone to hot takes and overreactions, but when Xbox owners see Fable Legends canceled, Scalebound canceled, Lionhead closed, Press Play closed, Twisted Pixel sort of given their release back into the independent wilds, do Xbox fans have a right? Are they justified in being sort of concerned about the first party output and future?
Well, our customers always have the right to voice their opinion and concern. So absolutely. I try to be as available as I can be in answering people's concerns and giving my point of view. One of the things we talked a little bit ago about the things I wanted to do when I came into this job. One of the things was our first party and how I thought about needing to, this is an unfair word, but I'll say rework our first party a little bit. And regretfully, that meant that certain things that we were doing, I thought we needed to do something different there. And it meant getting back to what I think is a core and building from that. And I think that's where we are, right? So it's been a journey, and I know certain people have asked questions about some of the decisions that you made, and I'd kind of give vague answers. I think it's actually in the long run going to be better for us. I fundamentally believe that. When I look at the investment that we want to make, that I want to make in first party, and that the company wants to make in first party, I think we're at a position where we're going to be able to do some new, interesting things. And that meant we had to stop doing some other things in order to create room for that. And that's just kind of the nature of running a business.
Right.
In terms of the lineup itself, and people say, "Oh, here goes his PR hat." I'm incredibly proud of the lineup this year. I've said before it's going to be an interesting year for us because we don't have Gears, we don't have a Halo first-person shooter game. And I get two sides on this. I get some people say, "Look, every year it's Halo, Gears, Forza, Halo, Gears, Forza." Then we have a year that's not those things, and people are like, "Oh, now you're in trouble." But I look at Crackdown, I look at State of Decay, I look at Sea of Thieves. I'm having a great time with Halo Wars 2, and maybe there's some things that we haven't talked about yet. But in the long run, I know having an incredibly strong first party is really important to this. There's a journey that I needed to go through as a leader to get us into a position where I think we can go do more. And I think it's the proof will be in what we end up doing, and that's how it'll be judged.
So is it?
Does that make sense?
It does. No, it totally, because
hey,
when a new boss comes in, a new administration, to use an easily
that's
relatable
not,
political.
oh
God, no. But you put your people and policies in, and
I don't even like anything
how
about
it works. But it's the Spencer administration.
No, we're not going to use that. No,
but so. You do have your core with the Coalition and with 343 and with Turn 10, and I mean the Playground is now doing something else. Maybe it's as well as Horizon. Maybe it's going to be with you. Maybe it won't. But you can't grow first party games overnight. They take 2, 3, 4 years.
That's right.
Is it fair to say that you are investing in new first party?
Absolutely.
Studios and projects.
Absolutely. And it's, I will say though, because I don't want, I have learned some things through the Scalebound experience, and you'd think I'd be smart enough to remember the learnings I've gone through on this every time, where sometimes when we start something new, we talk about it too early. People remember we announced Rise when it was Codename Kingdoms or something,
That's right.
And
as a Connect game,
and there was a little bit of Connect, but then you go through this process in the public of what does it mean to go try to ship something, and everybody's asking because you've asked them to ask because you've announced it, and I've learned when we try to do something ambitious with either a new team with a new IP. I'd rather not run out there and kind of put a target on it too early. So I learned that. And I like I said, I should be smart enough to remember the learnings in the past. But if I take Scalebound specifically, I love Kami-san, I love Platinum. I'd work with them again in a second. I think they do great work. What we were trying to go do didn't work for us. And I think it's a collective us. And the thing that caused me the most kind of consternation about it is that we just put it out there for everybody to kind of watch. When we start and stop things all the time, and there was a thing about the Halo Kids product, right? And what was that? Yeah, and game development is about creative push and finding where the line is and what's going to work and what's not going to work. So investing in new first-party stuff, absolutely. I'm probably going to be a little more careful in when we announce things. I know people are going to want to know what the roadmap is for the next 3 years so that they feel really proud of it. I'm going to balance that a little bit because I also don't want to get into a position where I'm having to defend things. I mean, I know because I have the list of questions. One of the questions here is Cuphead. Now, totally different than a AAA game, but you're going to ask me.
Well, I just wanted to check in with you on it.
I love Cuphead, but you're going to ask me when it's going to ship, and I'm going to say I don't know. And I
was going to ask you if you've played it recently and how it's coming along.
It's really good. I'm
shocked to hear you say that.
No, the hand animation in that game is fantastic. Yeah. The music, like everything. And again, much different than doing a big AAA game. But in some ways, when you go out there and you show something and then it takes years to finish it, there's a little fatigue that happens.
There is. We've seen that with our audience, with Cuphead specifically, where it just captured everybody's hearts and imaginations right away. And now it's at the point where, it's at PAX again. Oh, when's that game coming out?
That's right. And on the Cuphead specifically, I think when it launches, when it ships, people are going to be incredibly delighted with the experience. But on the AAA side, I'm conscious of this. So putting things out, I could even say with Crackdown 3, maybe I've been talking about Crackdown 3 for too long.
Yeah.
And so what's that?
Never.
Well, that's the other side is I get excited.
Yeah.
So, but on the first party side, I know doing new things is important. I will say we had to get to a core of what we felt we could build from to build. I'm really proud of the lineup that we're going to have come this year, but I know that people who have traditionally seen the games that they've seen and they don't see that in the list, they're like, okay, what's going on?
So do you look at games recently like Shadow of War, like Watch Dogs 2, like Fallout 4 that have these reveals and then the game is out within 6 months as something that first-party wise you're sort of looking into doing maybe something similar down the road?
This is a great conversation, and I'm not going to try to suck up all the time, but this is like, if you want to talk about a strategy discussion, this is the one, because take Sea of Thieves. Mm-hmm. Sea of Thieves is a service-based game, so we want to make sure when the game launches that it actually has had time for us to learn of what does a community of people do when they come together and play. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't work to say, okay, we're going to announce it and then 6 months later it's going to ship. So you have this for certain kind of games that are first-party AAA games. How do you incubate them? I mean, think about Minecraft, which we always leave out of our first-party lineup, but didn't we just announce like 122 million? So then, could Minecraft ever have been born as a first-party game? It launched in 2009 as this weird beta. I don't think so, right? And not that every game should be Minecraft. I think it's something special. But this line between big blockbuster, ship it, and then there's not as much retain in service. I think you can do it then. Yeah. For games that have to grow and we want to learn, like Sea of Thieves, you do have to disclose them a little bit early. And I think I think Rare is they're doing a really good job right now modeling and managing the community and keeping people's expectations.
So you do have a new console launching this fall.
Yeah.
And you're talking about maybe trying to keep some games closer to the chest for your own sanity, if nothing else. Do you see the premier gotta play it on Scorpio to get all the benefits of Scorpio game as being something, one of the Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, Inevitable Forza 7? Is it something we already know about?
The game.
Right.
He just tried to look at that.
Congrats.
He's trying to announce the game.
I'm doing my best. Or is the WoW Scorpio game one we haven't that hasn't been announced yet for this fall?
I think that Scorpio has to prove itself as I'll stop using the word premium, as a powerful console through a large array of content. For people who think there's like some massive big AAA game sitting in my back pocket that I haven't announced yet, that I'm announced at E3 and ship it this fall.
It could happen.
It could happen.
There is.
There's. I am very confident in the quality that I've seen from the games that we're launching and how they look on Scorpio. So when people see games on Scorpio, they're going to see, for those that are close to the detail, they're going to see a demonstrable difference between that and the games that they're playing now on any console. Like
Nice.
That's what I see, and I know content has to show that. And
Jeez, Marty.
Gone forever, Marty.
So I do think it's a little different than a traditional console launch where there's like, okay, we're going to line up 5 games on day 1. I've told the team, like, I don't want to do that, right? This is not, I don't, because it's part of the family of games. These games, every game we ship is going to be playable on both Xbox One, Xbox One S, Scorpio, and frankly, we're doing almost everything on Windows as well. So it's a little bit different in that way, but I know that content has to be the thing that we use to demonstrate the capability of the box.
I guess before we move on, Remedy. Remedy's been a awesome partner with you guys for a long time.
Another team maybe that we've announced the games a little bit early, actually.
Yeah, they seem to be moving in a bit of a different direction, splitting into 2 teams. Are we ever going to see you work with them again, either in an Alan Wake 2 situation, or or do they have they sort of made their own decision for their future?
Well, we don't have a deal with Remedy right now, so I'm not announcing anything. I will say when you start working with the studio, there is a learning experience in terms of what does it mean as a first party, as any group of humans working with another group of humans. And once you've kind of figured out how to work together, I think Playground's a good example of this, and you get into a rhythm, I think it's easy to take some of that burn that you have at the building the relationship and doing things again in the future. I'd love to work with Remedy again. We don't have a deal with them right now, but as you can imagine, at different events, we talk to a lot of the developers out there. There aren't a ton of independent console developers anymore.
True.
And so it's probably important that we do some things internally as well, but finding good external partners that we can work with. I mean, we talk about Creative Assembly with Halo Wars 2, right? We had a really great relationship with them. Our first game shipped with them, and you think, okay, that worked for us. It's how do we keep making success together?
Awesome. Well, we're starting to run out of time with you. I want to move to Bonnie Ross making a bit of news this week. Your studio head at 343.
Yeah.
She had made an interesting comment about story in Halo. She said, while we love our transmedia, meaning the sort of DVDs, books, all this outside of the game stuff, sometimes I do think we tell a bit too much story in our games. When you have a gun and aliens shooting at you, it's kind of hard to digest a lot of story. Hopefully we're showing in Halo Wars 2 a more simple story and using transmedia as part of the way to get the deeper story, but keeping the game story more simple. Now, this has caused a lot of discussion in the community, and I'm curious what your take on this is, and how you feel about sort of the narrative direction of Halo. Do you think? What did you feel about Halo 5's story and sort of how that trajects into the future?
Well, I think those are 2 different questions. I'd say Halo's to me, and this is me talking.
Yes.
This is not like a direction to anybody. Halo to me is always this really interesting game because at one level, it's John Wayne in space. Like it's just big, iconic superhero character runs around and destroys the enemy. And you can play the game, and that's all you care about. And you can have a ton of fun. And I think some of us, when we played Halo 1, like, what's all this? Like, I just want to go play as Master Chief. And then there's another side of Halo, which is an incredibly deep, rich world that Joe and the team went off and created. And there's Covenant, like there's all these things, and there's kind of religious overtones in there. And there's certain people that get really into that side of what Halo was about, and that's kind of the lore, and you see that. So then the game team is in this position of, and I remember when Reach shipped. And it was, if we remember, and ODST, like these 2 games kind of came out next to each other, obviously, and where's Master Chief? We kind of lost. Neither one of those games were actually, at the time, there was a lot of discussion about where the Halo franchise was going when you're working with characters that weren't Spartans, or you're working with Spartans that aren't Master Chief. Now it's funny because when people look back on those games, they talk about them as kind of hallmarks in the franchise. But I was there at the time, and I'll just say that's not the vibe we felt when we shipped ODST. And I think with Halo 5, you'll see something similar. Like first, I'll say I think Halo 5 is one of, if not the best multiplayer versions of Halo that we've ever.
No argument there.
And the cool thing we're seeing right now is actually engagements going up on Halo 5. Like you see it's growing, which the game's over a year old, but that's just a testament to the Forge community and the work that 343 has done. But the Halo team specifically, Gears is a little more simple. Like there's a little bit of complexity to the Gears, but Rod and the team, it's kind of, you know what you're going to go do. And I think Bonnie's voicing just openly how you balance these two things. So people who want to play John Wayne in space and just go and kind of plow through the enemy, and people who want to understand the lore. Do we get it exactly right in Halo 5? I don't know if you ever get story exactly right in anything that you try to go do. But I know the team really cares about the feedback from the community and always wants to make what they do better.
Awesome. Yep. Well, we are nearly out of time. So shall we skip right to trivia?
Yes.
You want to just do that? So then we can.
Thought you were going to be able to get out of that, didn't you?
How many points do I get if I get it right?
You know,
I'm only on one.
You get the trophy. How about that?
Is there a trophy? I've never seen
that. It is
on my desk. Locked.
The old ones. There is a new trophy being made for 2017 by an unlocked fan right now. It is in progress.
Do we know what it is?
We don't.
No.
It's been.
Wait, do you not know what it is?
Well,
I'd be worried about that.
It's in the controller family. You know, that's sort of become our theme. We started with the Duke.
He's worse than I am at dodging answers.
You didn't even say what you thought of Halo 5's campaign.
I enjoyed Halo 5 campaign. I understand some of the feedback that people have about kind of
Locke.
Yeah.
I like Locke.
Nobody liked Locke.
I like them.
Well, that can't be true because we found somebody that did. But
he's being nice.
Master Chief's in 20% of that
I understand
video game.
the feedback. I think maybe like my view when I played the campaign, I had a great time. I am probably honestly more of a John Wayne in Space Halo player than I am. Like if I yelled at Josh about anything in playing the campaign, I felt like I was out of ammo too often. Just like give me ammo to go shoot things. But I understand. Like there's the story as you try to morph and grow what the Halo story is about. Anyway, we got to go to our question. I get the feedback. I hear it, and so does Bonnie and the team.
Yes. All right. Unlock Block Trivia comes to us from Andrew Costin from Columbia, South Carolina. His gamertag, Phil, if you'd like to add him, is Folkin Giant, as in folk rock music.
Yeah, look at that.
However you want to do it. What?
All right.
Stay with us, Marty. So I chose this question with Phil in mind. You know, you've got obviously you ran First Party, and now the whole damn enterprise over there. So Steel Battalion is a game that you should remember fondly, or at least remember.
I remember it fondly.
We remember it fondly.
Yeah.
So Steel Battalion for the original Xbox, of course, $200 video game.
Largest box ever for a video game.
Inside that was a massive controller and a foot pedal box that were required. It was all proprietary stuff. Only you worked with that game.
Great business model there.
And so, that would never get greenlit today, though. Like, God bless Capcom in 2002 for making that game. No one would ever make that now. No major publisher.
So I know we're out of time, and I'm probably stretching. I was over in Japan last week. I was spending some time. I'll do this quickly with Namco Bandai, and they have these VR experiences they've built for their arcades in Japan. And I don't know, you pay like $7 or $10 to go play. Something that did this Gundam thing that was really cool and immersive. Have you done this?
Yeah.
So. I don't know that that's true because there's certain scenarios where they can leverage the things that they're doing for that arcade experience that maybe you'd see some people kind of doing some crazy things in the home, knowing that it wouldn't go to everybody, but they also have another place to go deploy those things so people can actually go and play them.
Okay, you will never greenlight on anything like that.
I just want my Gundam.
That was a cool experience.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, you don't do I sit and hold the thumb, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Of Steel Battalion, Andrew asks, how many buttons and switches were on the controller? Not the foot pedal box, just that big controller that you'd need to put on a table or a desk. Was it a 35-button controller, 40, 45, or 50? Do you guys remember? It's like a fun bit of Xbox trivia here. How many damn buttons were on that controller?
The fact that they're all divisible by 5, like it seems like the right answer's not in there.
Is it E? Is this a trick question?
Yeah, like
Destin, any idea?
37.
You brought up that it's in the controller family. Is this our next trophy?
It could be. That would be a waste.
We don't have desk space. No one has desk space for that.
I don't know. 50 is just ridiculous. I'm gonna go with 35.
Yeah, it's 35.
Totally guessing.
There's a line between 35 and 50 where you've clearly gone from rat to sand.
There's a line to sand. It's a completely arbitrary line, but the line's there.
Marty's
too far.
45 was the number that came to mind. Also, I'm gonna lose this year so badly.
Phil, do you remember this fun little nugget of trivia?
I don't know the answer. I'm going to guess, just to be different, I'm going to go with B.
Okay. All right.
Oh, they already got the.
Oh no.
Phil's on the board. Controller. Reputation.
Victory is mine.
Yes.
And how many points did I get?
All of them.
No, well, that's like one.
No, it's
well, you
you
just
have to
get-
come back.
what are the
come back
standings right
next
now?
week.
You win our steel.
Well, you're
fine
currently
controller.
Destin is far ahead in first.
Not that far.
We're now tied for second with 1, and Alana has 0.
Yeah, Marty
Because we
1
keep
point.
sending her
Can I
places.
wait a minute? Since I took Alana's spot here, can I give her my point?
No.
Come
He's been
on.
bequeathed. You
Come on.
can't say no to him.
Yeah, I should
What if
be
he
able to
cancels
do
all the
that.
games we want?
He,
This is a hostage situation.
He's not making
Alana
Banjo
gets
3.
my point. That's it.
Are you making Banjo 3?
I'm not announcing games here. I'm giving Alana my point.
You know, it'd be really cool if you did, though. That would be pretty awesome.
I love Banjo.
Yeah. Phil on the board, and we can talk later.
Telling her
about
she
it.
got my point.
All right. If you want to win a video game, because we get game donations from listeners, from publishers even, we've got Sniper Elite 4, we've got all the 360 Gears games, a lot of codes for that to give away, Rainbow Six Vegas codes, Dishonored 2. So Andrew will get in touch with you and see what you'd like. But if you would like to play and have a chance to win, send your Xbox trivia question, include 4 multiple choice answers, note the correct one in your email, and send it to unlocked@ign.com. Phil, thank you so much for being here.
No, it's
This has
great.
been
Yeah.
an absolute
I think you guys
pleasure.
do a great thing for the community. I listen
Thank
every
you.
week. I think it's
I'm sorry.
honestly, I think people who want your opinions on what's going on in the Xbox community, you guys are harsh when you should be. You're
We try to be
praising-
fair.
I think you're
Do our
fair.
best to
I
be
think
fair
I
at
think
all
you're very
times.
balanced in the commentary here. I like coming in. There's smart dialogue. And I think you do a real service for the Xbox community. So thank you.
Well, Phil, we can follow you on Twitter, of course, at XboxP3.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else you want to plug while you're here? Just like buy an Xbox or.
Well, what should I think people should go play Astroneer if they haven't played Astroneer.
Astroneer.
It's a game in game preview that I'm having a really good time with, and it's a local team, has some history with us. Some of the people have worked at Microsoft before.
Nice.
It's nice to have a local Northwest studio doing well.
Voodoo Vince remastered soon?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
You put
Clayton almost gave me the date to give to you guys, and then he was a little squirrely on the date, so then he gave me a date for a date. So I think there's a date for a date. I think next week you're going to get the date. From Clayton and the team.
Can't wait.
I don't know what
I
just
got
happened.
it. That's we need a kick to get us out of here.
But I'm playing it. It's great. Soundtracks is fantastic.
Stoked.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Super excited.
It's really good.
What IP are we bringing back next?
Well, Phantom Dust.
Well, okay. What else?
I can't give you the next one.
All right.
I
Fair
can't
enough.
give the
Don't say
next one.
Battletoads.
You have such a great. You do have there is an awesome IP archive.
We
to
do.
dig
I don't think it's me. It's like we do. Again, the community of Xbox players and creators that they've created some really special things and supported some great things out there. When I think about our gaming history at Microsoft and things that we could go do, Shannon and I spend a lot of time, and I think it's going to be a fun year.
for real.
Another Viva
Blinks
Pinata.
3.
I liked Viva Pinata.
So did I.
It was well done.
So underrated.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
the hell out of it on
Thanks,
Rare Replay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not Blinks 3. Banjo 3 though. You got to make Marty's life. Make that a thing.
Oh, I just played 2 hours of ukulele.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I'm very happy.
He's gonna
It's a good
watch
game.
Snake Pass. I played like an hour of
at
Snake
the
Pass.
ID
Yeah.
ID program.
He's
yeah.
gonna watch the sales of ukulele and then decide.
I'm
after
gonna
that.
cry.
Empty
I'm
my
gonna-
bank account.
Look at all the opportunity. No, I think it's great. Obviously we know that team well,
Yeah.
and I know you're trying to close, but I think it'd be fantastic if people went out and bought ukulele when it comes out and plays it.
Marty.
I'm at Nick Biggity. Also, please buy ukulele when it comes out, so we get banjo from me and Alana.
Destin.
Follow me on Twitter and support new IPs.
Yeah.
Good message, right, Phil?
I love that. Yeah.
Damn those franchises taking up
You're
all
gonna say,
the
damn
attention.
those French, and I was like, where did that come from?
No.
He started swearing at me. French. No, I think the game industry feels really healthy to me right now. It's good to see a lot of platforms doing well. Great games coming to PC. We got to celebrate Sid Meier last night. I got to I met him before, but spends a lot of time talking about the history of games, and it really made me just think about this industry and what it's meant. And it's a great time to be a gamer.
2017's ruled.
Oh,
We're 2 months in. It's
going to
already
be
been incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I just want to sincerely, for real, Phil, thank you so much for. I know you've got meetings and more important people than us to meet this whole week in San Francisco. Just awesome. Thank you for taking the time. Really, it does mean a lot. We hadn't seen you since E3, and I suppose that. Maybe that's the next time I'll see you, unless you end up doing a Scorpio thing ahead of E3. So hopefully I'll see you in a couple months.
Okay.
For Marty and Destin and the great Phil Spencer, I'm Ryan. This is Unlocked episode, 285. We're getting close to 300. Getting close. We're going to have to come up with something special. We'll see everybody next week.